Hello guys, NatBlue here, and today we are going to be doing Batman's Rogue Gallery as D&D characters. So we did this with the Bat Family last, and then we've done it with Teen Titans and the live-action Avengers, but today I just wanted to talk about the Batman Rogue Gallery, maybe the most iconic of all of the Rogue Galleries. So we are going to kick this off strong with the most iconic of Batman's villains, the Joker. So I think the Joker gets 12 levels of Swashbuckler Rogue. I know I've been using Swashbuckler a lot, but I think the class fits in really well with how performative some of these fighters are. And then 8 levels of Champion Fighter. Now, Joker is a very good fighter. He is able to go toe-to-toe against Batman a lot. A lot of that has to do with he has a very eclectic fighting style. I don't think it's because he's a really good fighter, if that makes sense. It wouldn't make sense to give him the Battle Master fighter, because I don't think he would be doing maneuvers and stuff. I think it's more that he's just kind of naturally gifted at fighting. Now, I think you could also use Drunken Master for the monk. I think that's the name of the subclass. I think that could be another option here, because it gives way to that eclectic fighting style I was just talking about. I think that could work in place of Swashbuckler. I just really like the Swashbuckler Rogue right now. Now, there are 2 options for background here. I think criminal background makes the most sense to me, because his backstory is a little confusing. It's kind of up in the air what the real backstory is. But in most instances, his backstory is that he's a criminal. I think the other option here would be entertainer. Which brings me to another point I wanted to talk about with the Joker. I think a lot of people assume the Joker would be a bard. And I can kind of get that. He has that entertainer feel to him because he has the clown persona. I don't think he fits bard though. I don't think he's doing things that bards would do, you know? And that just might be a me thing. Maybe he fits bard better for all of you guys, but I just don't feel bard when I think of Joker, which is why I picked Swashbuckler over a lot of other subclasses, because I feel like that performative fighting style that the Swashbuckler Rogue uses fits the Joker really well. So that's where I'm going to leave it for Joker. 12 levels of Swashbuckler, 8 levels of Champion. Like I said, you could use the Way of the Drunken Master, or you could, use a Bard subclass if you want to. Next up, we have Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. I think you give Harvey Dent 10 levels of Mastermind Rogue and 10 levels of Gunslinger Fighter. Now, he's going to take Mastermind Rogue because he does a lot of planning with some of his heists and stuff like that and kidnappings. But I don't think he's as much of a mastermind as some other people on this list. And then 10 levels of Gunslinger Fighter because he primarily uses a gun. It's really that simple. Now, for Harvey Dent, I would take the noble background because he was the district attorney, maybe assistant district attorney. I think district attorney. And he was a pretty big celebrity in Gotham before becoming Two-Face. So I think that works incredibly well for him. Now, away from Harvey Dent, we're going to talk about Bane. So Bane is 6 levels of Path of the Berserker Barbarian. Now, I think this makes a lot of sense. Him going into a rage could be him getting the venom toxin injected into his veins. And I think the Berserker works well for the venom toxin. I think that's how you could theme his rages. And then I would give him 14 levels of Battle Master Fighter. Something a lot of people don't talk about with Bane is he is probably one of Batman's best opponents when it comes to fighting. So he's one of the most skilled fighters in Batman's Rogue Gallery. He is incredibly smart, and a lot of people don't give him that credit because of some of the depictions he's had, like the older Batman movies. But I think Battlemaster works really well because he's a skilled fighter, not just a good fighter. So like Joker, I picked Champion because he's a really good fighter. I think Bane gets Battle Master because he's an incredibly skilled fighter. Next up is Poison Ivy. This might be for Bane, I would take the criminal background for obvious reasons. He runs a smaller crime syndicate kind of style thing a lot of the time. But Poison Ivy is next. Let's go to Poison Ivy. I'm sorry that I keep forgetting about the backgrounds. So Poison Ivy is an incredibly cut and dry one. She is a Circle of Spores druid. I don't think there's a better class for her. The spores would give her a lot of the advantages that you see in the comic books, like her using them to influence people and stuff, which I don't think is necessarily a class feature. But you could also have her raising corpses with the spores themselves, and you can deploy deadly spores and stuff along those lines, and you can use them to protect allies. So I think Circle of Spores works very well for Poison Ivy. And then just give her the Outlander background. I just think it fits. Next is Ra's al Ghul, which I think some people call him Ra's al Ghul, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be pronounced Ra's. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Ra's al Ghul. I would give him 16 levels of Samurai Fighter with 4 levels in Shadow Monk. Now, I think Shadow Monk works incredibly well here instead of Assassin Rogue because he's incredibly stealthy. Assassin Rogue would work here, and that would give us the same subclasses that we picked for Damian Wayne. But I think Shadow Monk works well here. It's kind of a blend of our Damian Wayne and Batman subclasses that I did in our last video. So 16 levels of Samurai just makes sense because I think the League of Assassins is normally depicted as fighting similar to some of the Samurai. And Samurai Fighter is just a good subclass if you want to be a good swordsman. And Ra's al Ghul is one of the best swordsmen. He is so incredibly good with his sword. For background, I think it would just be Noble. You could pick Soldier or something, but I think Noble just fits well here because he's the leader of the League of Assassins. So I think it just works incredibly well. You could pick Criminal too. But to Ra's al Ghul, I don't think he views himself as a criminal very often. So I think Noble just fits the best across the board. Next up, we have Penguin, which I think is just a mastermind rogue. He is mostly planning stuff. I wouldn't say he's really the foot soldier of his group, obviously. He's the leader, mostly planning kidnappings, planning bank heist, planning stuff along those lines, planning how to take down Batman and things along those lines. So I think Mastermind Rogue works here, and then giving him a noble background. I think noble background makes sense here because Oswald Cobblepot is also just rich. He owns the oh no, I should know the name of this, Iceberg Lounge. So he makes plenty of money. He's from money. The Cobblepots were a pretty wealthy family in a lot of comic books that was kind of ruined by the Wayne family, but he still has wealth, and I think Noble just fits because of that. Next up, we are going to talk about the Riddler. So Riddler seems like he should be Mastermind Rogue, but I'm going to give him 12 levels of Law Bard because I think it just fits pretty well for him. A lot of his stuff is the riddles, and I think a Bard fits well for riddles. And then 8 levels of Mastermind Rogue. I think Mastermind Rogue is still necessary here because he's one of the more schemy villains that Batman has. And after playing the Arkham games, those Riddler trophies, I feel like were put there by Mastermind Rogue. And then take the criminal background for Riddler because I don't think he needs more than that. Next, we have Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. I don't know why I've only done some of the full names, but we don't need to talk about it here. So, Slade Wilson, one of Batman's toughest enemies. Like, he goes toe-to-toe with Batman all the time, goes toe-to-toe with the Justice League a lot of times, is one of the biggest ops of Nightwing. Like, Deathstroke is a problem. And I think we have to make him a problem, build-wise. So I think 12 levels of Battlemaster Fighter. So Battlemaster Fighter, probably the best fighter class for anybody that wants to be doing a lot of damage and doing a lot of tactical moves, which Deathstroke is an incredibly good tactician. And then 8 levels of Assassin Rogue just for that damage boost. He is out to kill his targets. So I think those make him an incredibly deadly opponent, and that is what you need for Deathstroke. I understand some people would recommend going full 20 levels of Battlemaster, because a 20th level Battlemaster fighter is incredibly tough to beat. But that Assassin Rogue is going to give him some extra damage with sneak attacks and stuff along those lines, and I think that's kind of necessary for him to try to take out targets quickly. Now, for background, I would take the Soldier. I think Soldier just fits the vibe of Deathstroke pretty well. Now, Scarecrow is going to be an Alchemist Artificer, and that is as far as that goes. All of his levels will be an Alchemist, because that's his thing. He makes potions, technically. They're not called potions in the comic books, obviously, but he makes potions. Like, the Fear Toxin is just a D&D potion, in my opinion. You could probably pick some other stuff. You might be able to even convince some people that Warlock is a good option. But I feel like he's an alchemist with a specialty. Like, he poisons people with the Fear Toxin, and it works for him. Like, if he was a spellcaster, I guess there is the Fear Spell. But since it's kind of his one thing, I feel like he wouldn't be a Warlock. He's not Eldritch blasting people. So I think Artificer works incredibly well here. And then I would give him a Sage background because he has a doctorate. I understand a lot of people have doctorates. So the next 2 people we talk about are also going to have Sage backgrounds. I think it just works for them. So the next one up is Mr. Freeze. I do know that Scarecrow's name is Jonathan Crane. We don't have to talk about it in the comments. I know his name. I'm just not going to say the name of everybody. So Mr. Freeze, aka Victor Freeze, is going to be an artillerist artificer, because that's what he is. I don't know how to say it past that. He has like a mech suit. It shoots ice out of it. Like, Mr. Freeze is an artillerist if I've ever seen an artillerist. He just has a little bit of extra flavor to where his attacks are going to do cold damage. I would allow that in my game for his attacks to do cold damage. And I'm going to give him a Sage background for the same reason I gave Scarecrow a Sage background. He's a scientist with a doctorate, which it is odd. How many people in DC have doctorates? So, from what I understand, I could be wrong here. Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, and Hugo Strange, Harley Quinn. There's more people. That's already 4 people. I know there's more than that. And this is just Batman villains. So many Batman villains have doctorates. Gotham has to have such a good education system for such an iffy city, right? Like, yeah, it's an incredibly dangerous place to live, but if you want a doctorate, you should probably go to a college in Gotham, because they make supervillains. The colleges are making supervillains. You know what? Colleges in Gotham make them villains. And we're going to go with that theory, because I think plausible. It's not the fact that Gotham is cursed. I think by the Arkham family. Gotham is a cursed city, and it can't actually be cured in some of the comic books, but we're going to say it's the colleges for now. Now, next up is Mad Hatter, who might also have a doctorate. I think his name's Jarvis Tech, right? Jarvis Tech is the Mad Hatter. That doesn't matter. He might also have a doctorate. And I'm going to give Jarvis Tech, or I'm just going to call him Mad Hatter because I might have the name wrong, a College of Eloquence Bard class. I think he fits Bard pretty well. He's such a weird guy. And you know who's kind of a weird guy? Any Bard. I've played like 4 of them. They're all kind of weird fellas. He is just insane from what I can tell. But he's also going to have the Sage background because he's a renowned inventor before he went crazy. So Mad Hatter, pretty smart dude. Batman has some pretty smart villains. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is Deadshot. Deadshot is going to be a gunslinger fighter with 3 levels in Assassin Rogue. And I think that just makes sense. So 17 levels of gunslinger, 3 levels in Assassin. 3 levels is just for that extra sneak attack damage. Deadshot is not trying to fight close up. He's going to try to take you out from a distance. And that works incredibly well for sneak attack. Gunslinger, obviously it's because he uses guns. He uses snipers as much as he can to try to take out targets from a distance, but he also has like wrist mounted guns. So I don't think you could argue that he's not a gunslinger fighter. You could maybe say artillerist artificer, but I don't know if he makes his own guns. Even though he is also smart. Like Deadshot, there's not a lot of dumb villains in Batman's Rogue Gallery, and I'm realizing that now. I think his name is Floyd. Oh no. What's his last name? I just had it in my head. Floyd Lawton, maybe? Is that his name? Hmm. Yeah, Floyd Lawton. Look at that. I got it without Wikipedia. I used Wikipedia to confirm it. I'm not gonna lie, but it is Floyd Lawton. I might know my stuff. For some reason, that's all of the villains I have on this list. I will probably do a part 2 because I'm missing Harley Quinn, Clayface, and probably a few other notable ones. Talia al Ghul, I'm not going to add to a list because she's probably just going to have the same subclasses as Ra's al Ghul or as Damian Wayne. I haven't decided yet. But I'm missing a decent number of villains. Killer Croc could get added in there. There's a bunch. We'll come back to this, but I think for now, that's enough villains. That was a decent amount. We got the main ones out of the way. A lot of the other ones are just not as big of players in the comics, or they started out as secondary characters. So like Harley Quinn started as a Joker sidekick. I say that now, but I bet you when I start making this next list, I'm going to find people that aren't secondary characters, and I'm going to have to eat my words. But for now, I think we're good there. So, if there are any villains that I didn't bring up that you would like to see in a part 2, please leave a comment. I would love to just keep this trend going. I might also do a video soon making some of these characters in Hero Forge. I kind of want to do that with the Bat family, so I might do it with these villains also. I love Hero Forge. I'm such a big fan. So it would be cool to just make these minis, maybe do like a sped up video with some voiceover on the top. But if you're interested in seeing that, let me know. And if you disagree with any of my choices or agree with any of my choices, please leave a comment because I love to read what you guys think about what these characters should be. Like I said, I think some of these are kind of questionable. There are a few that, like Joker, a lot of people are going to say should be a bard because of the vibe. Ra's al Ghul, somebody might say that he should just be a level 20 assassin. I understand that there's other choices I could have made here. And maybe I was wrong about Deathstroke being 12 levels of Battlemaster and 8 levels of Assassin. Maybe it might be more effective for him to just have 20 levels of Battlemaster. But I'm not an expert. I haven't even played all of these classes yet, so I could just be wrong. If you want me to stop using the Swashbuckler Rogue so often, please leave a comment. Because I have been pouring that class into these videos, and I don't know why, because it just seems incredibly interesting to me. As a Rogue subclass, it just doesn't feel as much like a Rogue as the other subclasses do. It just feels like a pirate, which I think is the vibe they're going for. In pirates, you could argue are rogues, just with a different approach. They just fight more, I guess. And if this video doesn't get out on time, I do apologize. My internet is down, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to edit and make thumbnails and stuff like that before this releases. If you're still here in this video, and you want to see me playing video games, check out my new gaming channel, NatBlue Gaming. Previously, NatBlue VODs, but I think it's better to post the edited gaming videos on there. I was not posting enough of the VODs. So, other than that, guys, if you did like the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell to be notified when videos are released. And until next time, guys, peace.